So, quick review aerobic respiration means with oxygen. Here's the formula for aerobic respiration glucose plus oxygen gives CO2, water, and energy. And again, aerobic respiration won't happen if there's no oxygen present. Aerobic organisms and plants do aerobic respiration all the time. Aerobic means with oxygen. And again, if they aren't continuously doing this and they're aerobic, they will die. Now, opposite, kind of opposite, I guess photosynthesis is more opposite, but anaerobic respiration here is without oxygen. So, anaerobic respiration is basically the process of getting energy. So, carbon compounds and how energy is extracted from them in the absence of oxygen. So, it happens in the absence of oxygen. Another name for anaerobic respiration is fermentation. So, you've maybe heard about they'll ferment things to make alcohol. In fact, if you looked, one product is alcohol. So this doesn't have a reaction like the aerobic respiration. There's a lot of different pathways and things like that we can look at with anaerobic respiration or fermentation. But the big difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is anaerobic respiration, there is no oxygen. There's no oxygen. And so if there's oxygen around, aerobic organisms will either take over, or some organisms like yeast can be aerobic and anaerobic. They will be aerobic because it's more efficient and they get more energy out of it. But if there's no oxygen present, that yeast is now going to do fermentation or anaerobic respiration, and it will make alcohol. So when they're making alcohol, that is what they're doing is they make anaerobic conditions with no oxygen. Key products of fermentation, it could be alcohol, could be lactic acid. This is like in your leg, you get a cramp. The conditions became anaerobic. Not enough oxygen was getting to every single cell in your body. And so then you were like, oh, and then this lactic acid built up and you felt a cramp. Alcohol is listed twice on here, and one of them should be methane, which is CH4. So it's at the top here. So CH4, which is methane, alcohol shouldn't be listed twice at the bottom, but CH4 or methane is another key product of it. In fact, when you fart, the conditions in your large intestine are anaerobic. And so your fart contains a lot of methane, CH4, or H2S, actually the smell from your farts. So when you're like, and that smell of that fart, if there's a lot of sulfur compounds in it, it's going to make hydrogen sulfide, H2S, and that's part of what gives it that smell. And those are some of the notable products from anaerobic respiration. Again, aerobic respiration, I got some key reactions here. And then anaerobic, again, other names, fermentation, produces alcohol, lactic acid, sometimes a little CO2, but it definitely produces a lot of that methane, CH4. It's a much slower process and much less efficient. So that is anaerobic respiration in